mouth-watering food to the latest in fashion, health, education, music, movies, and news, plus thrilling sports and breathtaking travel, our TV network brings it all to you. Tune in today and experience the best of every world.
Hello, and welcome to the Coaxum Report. This is Terry Coaxum. For those of you that are just joining us, you can catch us on Roku, you can catch us on Apple, you can also catch us on Amazon, and you can catch us simultaneously on WSTX Bloomberg. And I am super excited to be joined today by Assembly Member Clyde Vannell. Clyde, how are you?
Terry, how's it going? How are you?
I'm blessed. I'm super excited. So Clyde, just so you know, you are here on the Coaxum Report, and we're seen all over the world. So don't be surprised if someone calls you from St. Kitts and tell you they see you on their TV on the Coaxum Report. So you're all over. You're being broadcast all over right now. So I want to thank you so much, Assembly Member, for joining us on the Coaxum Report today, and especially around the topic of demystifying AI. I had the huge pleasure of having you be a part of the panel discussion at the New York City Hispanic Chamber of Commerce at Somos 2024 in Puerto Rico. And I just had to extend an invitation to have you come on the Coaxum Report, because so many of my small business owners are just asking questions about, how do I demystify AI? How do I use AI? I was on a platform just earlier today with MasterCard, and questions were coming up about AI. And so I just want to have you on to talk a little bit about what this really means, and, really kind of just debunk a lot of the myths around AI, the roadblocks, and what we're doing. But before we do that, we got to back up. We got to let you properly introduce yourself. So who is Clyde Vannell, and where do you hail from?
First of all, Terry, thank you for having me here at the on the show. Heard a lot about the Marketplace Coaxum Report, and really excited to be invited to be able to participate. I'm Clyde Vannell, New York State Assembly member from Queens, from Southeast Queens.
So that's my Queens in the house.
That's right. And I serve as the chair of the subcommittee on Internet and New Technologies in the New York State Assembly. So I work on a lot of different matters when it comes to technology. I also, work on a host of things to make sure that, New York is a great place for people to stay, to build, to grow.
That's right.
And for small business owners, for you to be able to, have your businesses right here in New York City and New York State.
Absolutely. And I mean, we're talking a lot about new technology, and you are the expert in this arena. I mean, like I said, we had a phenomenal conversation. In that conversation, we had sponsorship from Meta. We had sponsorship from Spectrum. We also had Emblem Health and McDonald's on board, and we had JJ Disruptive as a part of the panel, and your colleague in government, Senator Kevin Parker, was also a part of this phenomenal conversation. And really, the first question was asked was, what is AI? What is artificial intelligence? And you kind of really broke down some of the fundamentals of it. So I want to start there. I want to start with what it is, and then we're going to talk a little bit about what it isn't. Because on the Coaxum Report, what I have industry leaders come in to do is to talk about some of the barriers, right? Some of the best practices, big ideas, and then we end with solutions. So I just want to make sure that the small business all over the world understand what this is. And for me personally, as a small business consultant, I'm able to help my businesses work smarter and not harder by using, all of this technology. And basically it's just data sets. They're pulling together all of this information and they'll be are able to use it. But one thing you gave us, you talked to us about some of the hallucinations, and that was something that was pretty new to a few of us that was in the audience. And so I want you to just really kind of demystify it in a stance of helping my small businesses to understand what AI is and AI and governance and business, and just give us a little bit of industry insights. And then for those of you that don't know, Assemblymember Vanilla is also an attorney. Because those were questions that came up at our panel discussion. We had a few judges that were asking about some of the roadblocks and some of the things that happen in their industry, where someone actually lost their license because of some of the hallucinations. They didn't do it, just like all of you. We're going to full disclosure. AI does not do your work for you. What we encourage you to do is you use it as a tool, not to use it to replace what you would usually do in researching things. So this gives you an opportunity to kind of really go out there and get more information about whatever the subject matter is. So talk to me a little bit about what AI is, and then we're going to get a little deeper into it, because I'm going to ask you a few questions so that I can help the audience understand it better.
So first off, for small business owners, it's really important for you to be able to use all available tools that make sense to help build, grow, and scale your business.
That's
So
right.
you should know about what tools are available.
That's right.
And technology is a tool. So I don't want. So let's I
Start
don't want
there. That's right.
yeah, I don't want to think that AI is something super special or what have you. But you should be able to use the tools that are available and the technological tools that are available to you.
That's
Now,
right.
keep in mind, before we move there, before we go further to any deeper tools, it's really important for our small businesses to use the technologies to be able to, what I call, reduce the friction to transfer value.
Mm,
Meaning,
okay.
you should be able to accept money in many different ways, right? So if you can't
Okay.
accept value or trade value, if you're only a cash only business, if
Mm-hmm.
you only accept one card, or if you don't accept XYZ, blah 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 blah, there's so many ways to be able to accept and send value that as a business you should make it really easy to accept and to
That's
receive.
right. That's right.
That's technology. That's really important to be able to do so. We still have, even in government, but we still have many of my small businesses that make it difficult for them to receive money. That's
Right.
something that really, that's something that you should use technology to be able to close that gap. There's so many different ways to do so.
And that was
Now,
highlighted a lot, Clyde. That was highlighted a lot in COVID, right? Because when the brick and mortar stores closed, what we realized is that a lot of those businesses that were cash only, or, they had that foot traffic, they weren't able to survive. They weren't able to survive. But those that had an online platform, because prior to that, I remember having conversations with my business about having something as simple as a website. And they were like, oh, we don't need that. Or having a Square at the time. Now you just download an app. You don't even need a Square anymore. You just download an app and you could just tap your phone and be able to, like you say, reduce the friction to transfer value and accept payments of all types. And so it's really important. It's what Clyde is saying to you, is that you need to make it very easy for your customer to get your goods, your product, your product, your widget, whatever it is. It needs to be easy for them to purchase it from you. And that's how you're going to be able to grow. And that's the technology that we're just something as simple as having the opportunity for someone to be able to pay you, whether they're standing in line or whether they're going into their phone to do it. Got it. Okay. So all right, take out your pens. We got our nuggets. Come on. That nugget number
so,
one.
Terry, so if we can't figure that out in technology, right?
Yeah.
If you're not making it easy to receive money, I'm not even going to get to the AI question, right? So,
That's right.
one of the things I make sure that there are a handful of apps, there are
That's
a
right.
handful of ways and a handful of digital tools to be able to do that,
That's right.
right? Okay, so that's really important. Now let's talk about technology. Now let's talk about making sure that you have an online presence,
That's
making
right.
sure that you have, which may or may not include a website, which includes a social media presence and footprint, which includes probably email and email marketing,
Hmm.
which includes a whole host of things. But depending on your business, it's really important to make sure that you're using the technological tools that are available today.
Okay.
Now let's talk about AI. So
Okay.
now, when it comes to artificial intelligence, depending on your business, right? There are different artificial intelligence tools that you may be able to use to make your business more efficient, to be able
Hmm.
to get better information, to be able to get to do better research, or to better provide your service, to help you provide your services more efficiently.
Hmm.
Um, and artificial intelligence is just a system of it could be a system of computers, a system of tools, a system of programs that help mimic human behavior. Or
Mm.
for
Okay.
example, there's a lot of artificial intelligence right in your phone.
That's
When you
right.
take when you use social media and you take a photo of someone, if I take a photo of me and Terry, my most of the apps will say, "Hey, do you want to tag Terry?" Right?
Right.
So it automatically reads her face and says, "Okay, this is who that person is," making it
Right.
much more easy for me. So there are a lot of different kinds of applications, from something as simple as that to I had a business that I would send out emails, and I needed to get people's information. I needed to get people's emails from a certain database. So I
That's
had a
right.
software that would take the people's emails. I used to do that by hand. The software, the artificial intelligence, did it for me automatically, much more efficiently.
That's right.
Um, so there are a number of different tools. As entrepreneurs, there are tools for you to have virtual assistants.
Hmm.
Now there are human virtual assistants, and then there are AI virtual assistants that can
Yeah.
answer your phones, that can respond to emails, that can help organize your emails.
Right.
So it's important for you to look at different tools to be able to do your business much more efficiently.
You're saying that, and as you're saying it, I'm thinking of all of the things, like when the first thing as simple as taking a picture, or for me, going online and like purchasing something for my baby. And then when I go back on the computer, I see the same type of shoe or the same type of book bag. Like it's just picking up some of my behaviors and then it's showing it to me. I call it minding my business, right? Because I didn't ask you. I didn't ask you to show me any more product, but I get all of these product things. But something happened to me just yesterday that was interesting. I was listening to an audio book. And when I started listening, you usually listen to audiobooks. It's usually being narrated by certain people. It actually said this audio book is being narrated by a digital X, Y, and Z. I was very surprised by that. I was like, oh, so now they're even using the technology instead of reading the book, having someone like go into a studio or whatever and read the book. They're actually AI is now able to, the technology is now able to actually read that whole book without, and so that's decreasing errors, because humans, we're talking, there may be some loud background news. If you're doing it through a computer system, you are not going to get those types of errors. So it's really interesting to me, to something as simple as an audio book is now being read by some digital technology that exists out there. I was very surprised by that.
So an issue that raises is, as technology improves, Terry, and for your example, in the past, prior to this technology being as advanced, the book publishers had to pay
Hmm.
Terry to read the audiobook.
That's right.
And they paid you whatever, a voice model or whatever, they paid a human to do so. Another example is in movies, right? You have to pay Denzel, Will Smith, whoever, $20 million, $30 million to be a feature in the movie or what have you. You have to
Mhm.
pay actors X amount of money to do stuff on television. Remember, you have to pay people if they're going to do the last season. They usually ask the actors ask for a whole lot of money per episode for the last
Right.
season or what have you. We're getting into a world where you can create people, artificial intelligence people, not even a computer
Wow.
generated person.
Wow.
So what's going to happen when now that's already happening for cartoons, right? Cartoons are not humans;
Yeah,
they're already
that's true.
cartoons, but at least folks pay the voice actors. But what happens when whole personalities, whole people, whole actors and actresses are created? What are we, what's going to happen? Well, I'll give you one interesting thing happened about two last week. Last week, Coca-Cola came out. Christmas time is coming, and Coca-Cola came out with their Christmas commercial. And in their Christmas commercial, there was not one human, there was not one real person. It was all
Whoa.
AI. It was all AI. Okay, that's fine. It was all AI. What's interesting is that if you do a search, a lot of people were put off by that. They were put off by the fact that this whole commercial was all artificial.
Wow.
What's going to be really interesting is what culture does. Are you going to spend more money? Are you going to go see a movie with all made up people? Or are you going to spend more for humans? Are you going to spend more to listen to the content or to ingest
Hmm.
the content with real humans? Or are you going to, spend time and listen to and consume the fully artificial intelligence created, thing, even with art, even with what have you. So culture is going to have to really figure out, humans are going to have to figure out where we value human effort and human created content and human created things.
Right. Absolutely. And I think that that's something that we're coming into right now. So as we're using this technology, this tool similar to Grammarly. We used Grammarly before when we needed to write better, right? So we had our students put things into Grammarly and it edited it for them. Same thing that's going on with some similar models, like I think it's Chat GPT and those models, right? And so when we go in, when we're thinking about that, we're thinking about our efforts being placed forward and then having a tool of some technology to help us make it sound better, flow better, sound friendlier, right? But then when you go into what we're describing now, which is listening to an audiobook, I would much prefer listening to my audiobook with a real voice, right? This didn't give me the opportunity to do that on Audible. It literally said at the beginning, it was fully transparent, giving them that. It was fully transparent and said, this is an audio, da da da. And I was a little put back by it. And then as I started listening to it, it actually sounded like a person. And she read through the whole content of the book. Of course, I'm going to send an email over to Audible and ask them to give me a choice next time. Don't just, if I'm purchasing some content, I'd rather know ahead of time whether this is, artificial or if this is an actual person narrating the book, which is why I purchased them in the first place. So that was one of the things. But I want to get a little deeper into this industry because I know for you personally, there's a lot of different spaces that you're playing in here with the technology. And we asked a few questions when you were on the panel, and it was some great feedback. So you introduced an Assembly Bill 6896, which was researched and drafted using AI tools that motivated you to utilize AI in the context. And what insights do you gain from that process?
So last year, or no, 2 years ago, I think I used AI tools to help research and come up and write a bill.
Mm-hmm.
One thing that's really so, but before I and it wrote it. What happens is it did the research and it looked and it saw that there was a gap in the law, and it wrote the bill and I worked with it to perfect it and write it better or what have you. But one thing that's the moral of the story is we have to master technology.
That's right.
We have to use these technologies and we have to figure it out. We cannot just say they don't exist or we cannot
Right.
ban them. We cannot, and we have to find out the bounds of them. How good is the technology? How can it make my job better?
Right.
How What's the bounds of it or what have you? So that's why that's why I did it. I got a lot of backlash from some people because they felt that we shouldn't use the technology that way. That they felt that, I'm a lawmaker, I got elected, not a computer, so I'm the one who's supposed to write all the laws or what have you. And again, I think that's a misguided view.
It
That's a
is.
really very misguided view.
Because we're using technology all the time to help us shape everything, including laws, right? I had the pleasure of working for Senator Schumer, and we reached out. We had the congressional record, and we'd reach out, and they would give us the research, and we put the things together for him. And then I had the pleasure of working for DA Hines, same thing, right? When we're pulling stuff together, but it was technology that we was using to pull it together faster, quicker, and more efficient and more effective. And so, yeah, that is definitely a misguided view. But now with that, you were able to show them that this is a tool. So basically, it helped you do the research, but you still had to know how to prompt it. You had to understand what you were looking for so you can go out and get other tools to help perfect it in the way that it needed to be perfected. And I think that's a prime example of what we should be using the technology to do. It's not replacing our brain. It literally is helping us to be more efficient and more effective. And my example at Medgar Evers College, I realized, and when you teach students, you know how your student writes. You understand the style and the little nuances in their writing, right? So when you get a paper at the end of the semester or in the middle of the semester, and you look at it and you go, this isn't my student's writing. But what do you do about that? A lot of us, a lot of educators, from my experience and from my conversations, they push back on that and they say, hey, I need you to go and write this again. So what I've decided to do was to make sure that they understood what they researched, right? So if you're giving me that paper now, it is now your job to get up in front of the whole class and do a presentation with PowerPoints and help us to understand how this AI tool help you perfect this paper, because that's what we're going into, right? So it's not just for us to say, don't use it, because that's not going to be reality. They're still going to use it, right? But how do we use it better to perfect what we're trying to do?
So when it comes to writing, when it comes to creativity, when it comes to papers, for what those, when you're talking about using generative AI. When it comes to text, AI in that sense today is good for first draft.
That's right.
Right? So
That's
it's
right.
good for research. It's good for the first draft.
That's right.
Right? It's a great research tool.
Right.
It's a better researcher than Google is. But that is a you should, as far as academia is concerned, then that draft should be cited if you're using that use that as a resource, not as
That's right.
the thing.
Transparency. That's
Right?
right.
Use that as a resource, not as the thing. But
The right.
because it is not perfect, right? You should go back and check it.
That's right.
So what's happening now with generative AI? What's happening now with generative AI, Terry? And somebody asked this before. Is now what these what's happening with these large language models like ChatGPT or what have you, is what they do is they scour the internet for information, and they
Mm-hmm.
come back and they categorize it, put it together, what have you, come back with an answer organized a certain way or what have you.
Right.
Um, a lot of the information that they're going and getting, a lot of the sources, some of these sources are copyrighted, protected sources.
That's right. That's right.
And what's happening now is what does that mean? What does that mean? Do these platforms, do these systems have to pay the copyright owners? There's lawsuits happening right now with some of the
That's right.
major content owners to try to figure out this right now. So what may happen in the not so near future is that even these platforms, these systems may have to cite where they got the stuff from.
And they're doing
So
it. They're doing it now. I've seen some of it being done with the different models that we're using. They'll say this comes from X, Y, and Z, and they're citing where it comes from. And what I'm encouraging my students to do is to be transparent. I use AI to help me do this. And then I have to look at the intent of the assignment, right? Because that's the thing, right? We're putting them in a space where we're giving them the knowledge, skills, and ability to be able to run the world, to do whatever it is that they're going to do in their space, right? So we have to be able to make sure that they're doing it efficiently and effectively. And then what is the intent? The intent of getting them to write this paper is to do research, right? To get them to understand whatever the thing is that we are studying, right? And then to get them to be able to use that research to do A, B, or C. And so that's what you're able to get from that. So you understand the intent of the assignment. It's not just to write a paper for the sake of writing a paper. It's to write a paper to understand something, to be able to use it to do something else. And that's what I had to step back and think about, as opposed to just saying, here's a 10-page term paper, do the research, understand it, and then they not know what it's about. They just threw everything on paper and they gave it to me. So that is, so using these large language models to be able to be, like you said, the rough draft, your starting point, a place for you to kind of realize where the other information is, and then go get what you need to understand that topic, whatever it is, to be able to use it in life, not just to do a paper for, say, my PA 211 or my PA 214 class. So this is good. This is really, really good. So now talk to me about... You started, like, when we were on the panel discussion, you started off, like, you kicked in the door as soon as we got on the panel, and you started talking about that digital divide. And then it's going to be an even bigger divide because of where AI is. And then we started talking about pulling together all these large language models from all these different places, which we understand are coming from white men, right? And they not looking like Black and brown individuals. So us having a seat at the table so that our narratives are written by us, for us, to us, right? So I want to talk a little bit about that, because the role, and I want to think about it in the role of the economy, the growth, the equity of it, right? And making sure that there are roadblocks in place, because my 6-year-old is always asking me, can he play Roblox? And that's a no, right? But my 14-year-old is playing Roblox, my grandson, and I'm listening to the conversations that he's having with his friends, and I'm like, I don't know about it. So I want to talk about that, like that digital divide that's going to be even a bigger gap with what's going on with artificial intelligence. How do we get a seat at the table? Because that's what you're doing now. You're a lawmaker. You're literally changing the game for us to make sure that we're included in Southeast Queens, that we're included here in Brooklyn or in the Bronx or throughout New York, right? So tell us about how you're doing that so that we can better understand what part we need to play, and not letting that gap get so big that we're out of it.
Well, like I said, now, if we're talking about small businesses, it's really important for us to make sure that we're using the tools that are in place, that are available. We got to make sure that. So what does that mean? How do we break it down? Mm-hmm. We have to make sure that we work with consultants, or with people that work with small businesses like you, with different organizations, to be able to figure out, how do I help my business? How do I make it grow? How do I make it more efficient? Right? Mm-hmm. Because if you don't use that now, you're going to be left behind even further.
That's right.
In business, if your business is not growing, it's dying.
That's right.
If you're not building, it's dying, especially in business. And
right. If you're not making money, it's not a business, it's a hobby. Because if it don't make dollars, it don't make sense.
That's right. So if you look at some of the biggest companies from 30 years ago are no longer. Yeah. They didn't grow. So if big businesses can die, what about yours?
That's
you
right.
have to. Wow. I don't know if you guys remember. If you remember Blockbuster.
Yeah.
That was a huge thing. I don't know if you remember Radio Shack, which is dying. Yeah. I don't know if you remember. So there are many big businesses that have not grown, scaled, or used the technologies that are available, and that have not changed or shifted with the time.
Okay, we're gonna take a break. We're gonna take a break. We're gonna think about that. We're gonna think about businesses that haven't grown and changed and shifted with the time. We're gonna take a quick commercial break, and we're gonna come right back on that point, because it's really important to understand that we don't want to be left behind in the Blockbuster and the Radio Shack world. We're gonna take a quick commercial break and be right back.
This is a Bloomberg Money Minute. We'll soon be hearing from NVIDIA that is reporting its latest earnings. Investors want to know if the world's most valuable company can continue its remarkable run that's been fueled by demand for its artificial intelligence products. A Barclays strategist says NVIDIA's profit report may be the most anticipated event on Wall Street for the rest of the year, beating out the upcoming jobs report and even the next meeting of the Fed on interest rates. The company that makes Tom's of Maine toothpaste has been put on notice. Inspectors with the FDA say water used to make Tom's Simple White Clean Mint toothpaste, sold by Colgate-Palmolive, contain dangerous bacteria that can cause blood and lung infections. And inspectors say the company ignored multiple instances of contamination, including 400 complaints about odor, color, and taste. Tom says its products are safe and it's working with the FDA to fix the problems. I'm Nancy Lyons, Bloomberg Radio. This is
So we're back real quick. You heard the little the commercial break talking about NVIDIA and the profit report, and so that's beating out the job market report. People want to know about this artificial intelligence report. Is going to be interesting, so we're going to be looking out for that. So we took a quick commercial break and we came right back, and you were talking about some of the big companies that were left behind in the technology. And even we can think about Polaroid cameras, right? We can think about those little pictures that we had to wait and dry and we had to shake them, right? But some of us don't even know what that is, right? Or when they had these phone booths that you would go into it, like this technology has been outpaced by so much, right? And it's my understanding that Polaroid actually had the technology to move forward, and they just refused, and when they tried, it was just too late. And so this is something that I really want small businesses to understand. Like, it's important for you to pivot. It's important. I remember growing up in the South, a gas station was just a gas station. Not anymore. You go to a gas station, you can get a slice of pizza, you can get your coffee, use bathroom, you get a snack, whatever it is. Like, they've pivoted so much because they understand that people have different needs at different times, and you want to be able, I want to go back to what you said about, right? So the reduction of the friction to transfer value, you want to be able to make sure that folks can just pay for it. They can just tap and get whatever it is that you're selling so quickly that they don't think twice about it. It's just something to do. So talk to us a little more about that.
So Terry, think about this. Government shouldn't be more innovative than small business. So if you look at, right, government should be slow. But if you look at how you can pay for the subway, right? The subway hadn't had, I don't know what the ages of folks are, but when's the last time you had? What year was that, Terry? What year was that, Terry? Terry,
oh my God, I don't even remember. It's been so long ago.
Terry, I think that was before the 2000s. I think before the 2000s, right?
Before 2000s, yeah. It was way before 2000. We had a little thing, a little coin you dropped into the subway. Wow. So, and I mean, I can't remember because, I'm only 25, right?
Well, Terry, let's break it down a little bit more. So now, so the Metro card is a thing that folks are using, right? We don't even use a credit card. We use the Metro card, right? That's right. But the city is moving away from the Metro card.
Right. Just tap.
And you're going to tap your phone.
Right.
Tap your phone. So
that's right.
So that's where think about this, Terry. When's the last time you gave money to a toll booth attendant?
Oh, wow. Yeah. It's been a long time. And what was interesting about that is when they say they were going to phase them out, I couldn't understand how they were going to do it. But you don't even really need an Easy Pass anymore either, because all they're doing is taking your plate and sending it to you in the mail. If you have an Easy Pass, and it comes off, so it's really interesting. Like when you walk down the street, all of the cameras that are there, so everything is happening in real time. So yeah, we can't be out there.
Let me take a little further. Right now, the governor 2 days ago, last week, talked about implementing the congestion pricing in Manhattan.
I'm trying to figure out what congestion they're talking about, being that, a lot of our businesses are working from home now, and it's not as congested as it's been in a long time. So that $9 toll, I'm a little I got some
Yeah.
feelings over
Yeah.
that, but
I'm
we're
not
not gonna talk about that. But yeah, so congestion pricing, go.
so do it. I have to talk about it also. But do you know that as far as logistically, the camera's already in place.
They are.
All
That's
they have to
right.
do,
You see them.
technology-wise,
Turn
all
them
they
on.
have to do is turn it on and off. That's
That's
it.
it.
That's it.
That's it.
So that's what New York City is doing. That's what the state is doing. What
That's
is your
right.
business doing?
That's right.
What is your business doing?
That's right.
Right?
My
Are you
business is
looking at
using this little thing here, this little smartphone to do almost everything. Everything that I can do in with my computer, my desktop, my Mac, I can do it now with this. From tapping I don't even have to take my cards with me anymore. I take my ID because I don't want to pass out in the street and somebody say, look at my phone. No, we can take your ID with you. Right. But I don't everything you can do it with this phone. I can my customer can actually get their invoices from me from this. They can get their portfolios from me from this. Anything that I can send them in a physical office, I can send it to them from a beach in the Virgin Islands. So just as simple. So you're right. This technology is already here.
right? So I don't want to even I don't want to make AI, I don't want to make technology bigger and more mysterious than it is. It's not.
You're right.
What are you doing? It's a tool.
That's right.
And what tools can you use to make your business better?
That's
What
right.
tools can you use to be able to provide your services better? To be able to receive, for you to receive services better, for you to transfer value better. What are you using for you to be able to be louder in the market? There's a lot of noise in the marketplace.
That's
Are
right.
you using the
How do you
tools
break through that?
for you to be able to break through all the noise so that you can find your customers and your customers can find you? And this is all technology. And if you're not asking these questions, if you're not actively trying to figure this stuff out, your business will be left behind.
Right. You will no longer have a business. You will have a hobby because you won't be making any money.
That's right.
And I want to really horn in on that because, Clyde is just giving you some real nuggets. And so just like I have my notes and I'm taking my notes here, he's talking about the tools to better your business. I remember when I worked for SBA, one of the tools was having a business plan. Now it's just not okay just to have your business plan. Have your business plan, understand your business plan, understand your financials. Again, QuickBooks. You can do your financials at the tip of your fingers now, and you need to understand that this technology exists, and it's not, it's user friendly. It's not, it's not like you need rocket science to be able to understand it. Having an online presence. I talked about having an online presence, whether it's social media, whether it's email, but make sure your touch points is with your clients and your customers. They understand what you're doing and you understand what they're doing and what their needs are so that you can reduce the friction and transfer the value and be able to get them to buy whatever you're selling. And so just basically being prepared. So being prepared so you don't have to get ready. You're already ready. And the technology is giving you an opportunity to do that better. And so when we go back to the economic growth and the equity in our underserved communities, we have to make sure that our communities have access to broadband, they have access to the technology, that the technology look like them, that it feels like them. They're able to put into the prompts and pull out the materials that they need. They're at the table so that they're not on the menu, right? Because it's not that decisions aren't being made about this large data set of information. They'll be made every day. But if we're not a part of the process, then we're apart from it. And so all of these are great tools. These are all great things that you even gave us when you were on the panel. And I just wanted to bring you on to kind of really reiterate it for those that didn't get an opportunity to see it real time. And so I want to thank you for that. Another part of this, not just the small business, but education and the workforce development. These are all other themes that we are using this large data set, right? Regulation and ethical use. Puerto Rico and the Trade Mission, we looked at some key takeaways from that. And we looked at how it's evolving, AI innovation and collaborations, and then standing out with challenges and stuff. And then some personal perspectives that we talked about as well. So it was really a lot of great information. I want to back up and talk a little bit about the ethical stuff, though, because that keeps, those roadblocks, they're real. You talked to us about hallucinations. Like, I wasn't clear about what a hallucination was, and you had a real life example because it happened to you personally, right? It wasn't just something you read about. It's something that happened to you personally. So talk to us a little bit about those ethical concerns and balancing like that AI with your privacy and your security and fairness, and then the discussions in Albany about the regulations and ensuring that these technologies are developed and implemented ethically so that our populations, what you're doing out in Southeast Queens is impacting the world. What we're doing here in Brooklyn is impacting the world through AI. So talk to us a little bit about those regulations and the ethical use and how we can do that better to make sure everyone is included. And so we're at the table and not on the menu.
So one thing is we have to be, when it comes to systems making human decisions, taking the place
Hmm.
of decision making from humans. For example, when you're applying for a mortgage and it's really, you have to apply online and it's a
Mhm.
software that can make the decision, or when you're filling information out and for telehealth, and the software is going to provide some kind of decision of where you have to go, what have you. It's real important that those outcomes are fair outcomes.
That's right.
A few years ago, we saw that the percentage of people of color that were getting pre-approved from online mortgage applications were less likely to provide pre-approvals for people of color than for non folks of color. And folks that were people of color were getting approved for less of a mortgage than people that were non-white, that were white. So
Right.
very important. So very important for us to make sure that the impact of these automated system decision making doesn't adversely impact people of color. Another thing that's really important is that it's really important that we audit these systems and make sure
Ah.
that they are fair, and we make sure that we go back and check them, to make sure that we go
Mhm.
back and check.
Mhm.
When it comes to self-driving, the a couple of years ago, the system, the algorithm was less likely to identify you or me as a human because of our dark skin.
Whoa,
That
really?
really,
Wow.
really, that is a major problem, right? So that's a major problem because what happens is, again, um, artificial intelligence is not really intelligent, right? It just works with
Right.
the data, with the information it has. So
Right.
if it doesn't have full information, it's going to come out with a limited response. The
That's
better,
right.
the more information it has, the better. So it was the systems were trained on, most likely, what they viewed as human was most likely more white examples
I lied to
than
come.
people.
Yeah. Mhm. Mhm. Mhm.
So that is important for us to know,
That's
right?
right.
So it's important for us to, right, because I don't want to cross the street and get killed because of self-driving because it could not read my skin. But that's why it's important for us to be able to audit these systems, to know what's going on, to be able to have culturally sensitive data sets
That's right.
depending on the use of these systems.
That's right.
Now, now Terry talked about something where it says, yes, so because artificial intelligence is not, generally speaking, is not that intelligent, and I'm talking about it's intelligent in narrow space, but the world is going to move towards general intelligence,
That's
general
right.
machine.
That's right.
So right now, if there are hallucinations means if you ask the artificial intelligence, the system something, it may get it wrong. It may cite things wrong. It may hallucinate
Right.
because of the data that it has. It can't. It doesn't think like a human. It thinks very linear, right? GPT, it means that the what the system does is that it predicts the next word, but it's not always correct. It's not always
Right.
right. It's not 100%. So really important for us to be able to know that too. So, we put in bills to be able to, when you're working with these systems, for there to be disclosure saying that
That's right.
the response or the result could be inappropriate or inaccurate. It's very important for people to know that and not rely on it as if it's the gospel
That's right.
when you work on it.
That's right. And I think that these are all very important things for us to think about, for us to understand in order for us to use the tool better. And I think that this is something that, we're going to have a lot more conversations on this. But in order for us to make sure that the tools and the systems are accurate, we have to make sure that we're at the table and that our narrative is also a part of this. Because I mean, the example you gave with the mortgages, it isn't a new example, and it wasn't. And so unfortunately, I had the opportunity to work for a bank way back when Manufacturing Hanover Trust, Manufacturing Manny Hanny became Chase, Chase became JP Morgan. I mean, Chase became Chemical became Chase, Chase became JP Morgan. And here where we are right now. But the thing is, back then it was actually an individual that read your mortgage, right? And so, with all of the consolidations and the downsizing and now the banking system, that there is no person in your bank that's deciding the mortgage is someplace being decided somewhere else. And so now, and even in that, there was discrepancies in Black and brown folk receiving mortgages with the same types of qualifications. And so I remember way back when council member Diana Reyna was the councilwoman, and she put the banks on notice. She was like, listen, in my area in Williamsburg, Brooklyn, this particular bank, I'm not going to call the name to protect the guilty, there is more Black and brown folk coming in there, and there is very little mortgages coming out of there. And you need to tell me why. And this was when individuals were able to make those choices, and they weren't making them in the favor of us. And so it's now the technology is mimicking the same type of situation that was happening. But like you said, it has to be audited. It has to be monitored. There has to be accountability. You can't say, well, this system made the error, so that's that. No, there has to be systems in place, laws in place, which you guys are doing doing a great job in making sure that can't be it. There's equity in this, and there's a reason why there's equity in this, and reason why you're paying attention to it. I mean, it's silly how time flies when you're having fun. I can't believe the show is almost over. But before it is, I want to have a few final thoughts on just what inspired you to do what you're doing in this space. I mean, I know that your committee is doing some wonderful things, but even having a committee assignment, you're so passionate about it. Like, for instance, you gave us all of these great nuggets about making sure that we're using the tools, that we're reducing the friction to transfer value, that the system you're letting us know that the system is making human decisions. So you have to make sure that there is a human component to this decision making, which means that there's going to be an audit process, which means that there's going to be accountability processes and transparency, right? The outcomes are going to be fair. And that's what you guys are engaging toward. And then the intent of what it's used for, right? So making sure it's ethical, making sure there are roadblocks and all of these other things, but using the tools to make whatever you're doing better, whether it's in business and education, whether it's in whatever you're trying to do in life. And so your pulse is on that system, making sure that it looks like us, feels like us, and that we're able to use it. And it's not just another huge gap and what we're trying to do. But I want to end a little with thinking about the human side of this, right? So just what inspired you to want to do what you're doing, the way you're doing it. And I kind of have an idea because you're a lawmaker, right? And you're changing the game every single day when whatever assignment that you're given, but want to kind of get your take on it as we're transitioning out of the show, and just to understand what role can we play to make sure that we're being inclusive and that we are helping, whether it's at, on a CUNY level in college, whether it's with my small business owners, whether it's with my 6-year-old. And by the way, we're able to even get access to information with these large data models that we may not have had access to. Case in point, I had some situations with special education that we were able to help parents write 504 plans and IEPs for their children using the information in these large data sets, getting our research, pulling things that we needed to pull. And it really changed the game and how the child's education plan moved forward. And it was individualized, more individualized than it would have been had the parent not had that information on hand to be able to change the game for that child. So as we're ending, I just want you to kind of tell us about what inspired you to do this. And then any last thoughts on anything to do with demystifying AI, the future, how you see it, any equity thoughts, just any last thoughts that you want to leave with the listening audience.
So it's a fact and a shame that from the beginning of time, from antiquity, people of colors, ideas, inventions, and philosophies have been stolen.
Mm-hmm.
Your 6-year-old child will learn in a year or two that philosophy came from Europe. They will learn that the sciences and astrology came from Europe. They will not learn about Africa. They will not learn about Imhotep. They will not learn about the African philosophers. They will learn about the Greek philosophers. They will learn about the Italian Renaissance. They will learn about the French Revolution. So our school system and our history, if you want to see the best African art, go to museums in New York. Go to museums in Europe. Right? So we have a history of not protecting our ideas and our concepts. We also have a history of being advanced in technology.
Mm-hmm.
Go to the pyramids. Those are
That's right.
African. So it doesn't make sense that now we're talking about the digital divide.
That's right.
It doesn't make sense now where we're asking to be a part of technology.
That's right.
Right now, in this day and age, these systems, these technologies are new, and everyone's learning them. No one is a super duper expert because it's still early. We must engage them. We
That's right.
must own them. We must master them. We have to stop asking for a seat at the table, and we have to build the table.
Mm-hmm. And bring our own chair, because Shirley Chisholm was like, you don't got to give me a seat. I'm going to bring my own chair. That's right. Build the table. Bring your own chair. Be a part of it. Wow, that's powerful. That's powerful. And that is every day. I think one of the things that I took ownership of is explaining to my 6-year-old each and every day that he is a king and he's from Kings, right? And so just explaining technology and the light bulb and all the other contributions that Black and brown folk have made, and helping him to understand that you're brilliant, you're a genius, and that our children, it's not that our children can't learn. Some children learn differently, and that's okay. And I think that that's also a part of how we can use technology to help hone in on what they are perfecting and help that, really channel their creativity and help them own what they are and who they are. So, this is powerful. I want to thank you again for really just coming here and just laying it all out. Just first of all, just embracing this technology in your role, helping us to understand it, not being afraid to share your expertise on panels and with individuals, showing us some of the examples. The banking example is a huge one. The hallucinations are a huge one. The roadblocks are huge, but you are in there, you're transforming it, and you're making sure that we do have that seat at the table and reminding us to own it, to be a part of it, to learn, to master it, to grow, and to be what we wanted to see it to be. And so I want to thank you so much for being on the Coaxum Report. You heard it here first. Clyde came in here, kicking in the door, giving us all these nuggets. I got all these notes that I'm going to be sharing with my students, and I want to thank you, and I hope you have a super amazing day on purpose. Thanks for being on the Coaxum Report. Have a good one.
See you, Terry. Thank you.
I used to watch BET, MTV, VH1. Now I watch Tempo, Soca, Calypso, Reggae Dance Hall. Don't stall, better get tuned in to the Tempo. Don't have cable, they got an app. Go to your app store, download that. Whether it's tourism, cuisine, or the social scenes, if it ain't Tempo, it's a rap. Who got the Caribbean views? Tempo. It's the latest in Caribbean news. Tempo. You tryna cook Caribbean food? Tempo. You know they got the music videos too. Tempo. Who got the Caribbean views? Tempo. It's the latest in Caribbean news. Tempo. You tryna cook Caribbean food? Tempo. You know they got the music videos too. Tempo.
Welcome to our TV network, your ultimate destination for all things exciting and essential. From mouth-watering food to the latest in fashion, health, education, music, movies, and news, plus thrilling sports and breathtaking travel, our TV network brings it all to you. Tune in today and experience the best of every world, all in one place, rtv.network.